we gotta. I mean, what a game, what a night, and for that reason, we're gonna have a special segment for you guys, impromptu. We literally just reached out like 10 minutes ago on Twitter, and the bat signal has been answered. So not only is it Far End of the Bench episode 85 with Jimmy Pilato and Niko Bryant, Griffin Young's the host of one of the hosts of the Tell It As It Is podcast. I'll get it right at some point. It's I know it's not as late as where you are, Griffin, but 11:15 was not what I was expecting tonight, sitting down for the Avalanche game. But couldn't have been a better night. So thank you for joining us from the Tell It As It Is podcast to talk a little playoff hockey.
Yeah, no problem, fellas. Thanks so much for having me on. It's always a pleasure to be back on here. And you're right. What a game. What a moment for Cale Makar, who had one of the best games I have ever seen from an NHL player, period. Yes. Connor Ingram aside, Cale Makar stole the show from drop of the puck all the way to the winner. The best defenseman in the league, hands down. And
it ain't close.
It's not close. Where was Roman Josi on the OT winner? On his knees, where he should be in comparison to Cale Makar.
Man, I know that it's not. Josi finished the regular season on such a hot streak that Norris Trophy was like pretty much already in his trophy case, and playoffs don't count. But there's no doubt that Roman Josi, he might get the trophy, but this was not his year.
Kale's playing for bigger trophies. That's all we'll say. Kale's shooting for bigger trophies.
If someone submitted a ballot about 72 hours ago saying that Roman Josi was ahead of Cale Makar on their Norris ballot, they're going to be feeling pretty stupid right now, because this series through 2 games has left absolutely no doubt as to who the superior defenseman is. I don't care that Roman Josi is more valuable to his team. You know, that's a valid point for the Hart Trophy, completely different award. Mm-hmm. For the Norris, it's not close. Cale Makar is a generational talent who does not wilter in the playoffs like for some reason people have said this season. Absolute nonsense. This guy is an animal, and we are so lucky to have him on the team. I'm wearing the Cale Makar jersey tonight. Shout out to my boy Christian, my co-host, for picking this up for me at Ball Arena and sending it over to me. First of all, it's been a long time since I've been on here. For those of you who haven't kept up, Christian Belay joined the show back in October. Best co-host in the world. Please check us out, the Tell It Abs This podcast. Second I'm done here, I'm hopping right back onto there for our reaction to this game immediately. That's going to be up tomorrow morning. I'm buzzing right now. Can you tell me? I haven't felt this good in a long time.
The business is booming. I mean, like literally, I want to say after we recorded the last couple episodes before the Avs postseason, last couple weeks of the postseason, I was turning on Tell It Avs, your show, almost like night. Every time the show was popping out, thinking like, "Oh shoot, what's my boy? What are my boys over there, Griffin and Christian saying?" Because I gotta hear what your thoughts are on about it. Because like I said, we love our other sports, we love football, love basketball, but man, hockey, when your team is this good, things are fun. Things are fun, very very fun.
When you have playoff hockey to watch, I turned Canadian from about May 1st to whenever the Avalanche happened to get bounced. Hopefully, we're not talking about that this year. I'm knocking on wood, but I'm trying to go for the reverse chicks. We'll see if that works out. Speaking of feeling stupid, we were talking a little bit about that earlier with some fun backstories with what was going on during that game. We didn't get to talk to you before or after game 1. How dumb do you feel as a coach going with Riddick and then sticking with him through those first 5 goals, knowing what Connor Ingram, I mean, obviously you're not expecting him to turn into Martin Brodeur.
Or Saros for that matter. Half of that.
Either one of those guys, but you definitely weren't expecting him to have to play. How dumb would you feel as the coach of Nashville right now?
I'm going to give Hines some credit here because Connor Ingram against Arizona in the final game of the season for the Nashville Predators. So I don't know if you guys are familiar with the story or anything, but I'll just quickly recap
down
it.
4-0, right? Or something
Yeah, the Predators are up 4-0.
4-0.
Yeah, they're up 4-0. All they need to avoid this series against the Avalanche is 1 point. And Connor Ingram gives up 5 awful goals, just terrible goals. Nashville should have absolutely gotten a point out of that game and be playing Calgary right now. He had a horrible game, and Dave Rittich just beat the Avalanche a few days prior. Coming into game 1, it would have been a questionable decision to put Ingram in, but after the first period of Rittich getting torched for 5 and now Ingram facing 50 shots and stopping 48 of them, only getting beaten by Nathan McKinnon on the first shot of the game and Cale Makar on the last shot of the game. It's not going to be a controversy as to who's going to be in net for game 3. And if Saros doesn't get a high ankle sprain against Calgary 2 weeks ago, then we're probably still not talking about this because he's not going to have that kind of game.
Yeah, game 1 is a lot closer. And that second game, I mean, maybe even Nashville steals this game if Saros is in net. But I mean, let's keep it a buck here too. People forget in playoffs, there's goaltenders across the league that pull one game out of their ass. People forget Andrew Hammond stole us a goddamn playoff game. The Hamburglar. I think it was either against these guys or it was against Calgary. Yeah, it was against Nashville. I remember being like, this guy came off the Zamboni and won us a playoff hockey game. So that's nothing new. The guy is a playoff leader in saves in a single game for Avs history, not Patrick Wall. Andrew Hammond, for Pete's sake. Like, that's just all you need to know about playoff hockey goalies, because if one guy hits his stride, he can be hot for a game. I mean, Kemper did this to us 2 years ago with Arizona.
Yeah. Arizona,
like, it just happens. And Kemper's a good goalie, don't get me wrong, but come on, like it happens. It happens more times than you can think.
It happened 2 days ago in the triple overtime with the Penguins and the Rangers. Igor Shesterkin makes 79 saves in a triple OT and loses the game because
Igor is good, though. I'll say that.
Igor's outstanding. But just further on your point, these kind of games happen from goalies. But when you're facing that many shots, eventually one of them is going to go in, especially against a team like the Avs and with a team like the Predators who are just relying on getting lucky.
Yeah.
The only way they were going to win that game is if an Av made a mistake and they got lucky.
That might have been their best shot right there. That might have been their best shot.
They don't get a goal in that game if Sam Girard doesn't mishandle that long pass. If he doesn't go for the wrong shortstop slide there, and they get lucky, and the rookie puts his first playoff goal in against Darcy Kemper, which by that time it was like the 4th or 5th shot that Kemper had actually faced. So not gonna put anything on him. Yeah, there's a ton, like, goaltenders in the playoffs are just weird. Khudobin did this last year, in the bubble to us against Dallas as well. After we faced Kemper, we went and faced Anton Khudobin, and we're all going, "Oh, Bishop's out. Bishop's not playing. That's great. That's gonna be, oh, what the hell? Where the hell did this Khudobin guy come from? Standing on his head doing a gymnastics routine in the crease." It just always seems to happen. But shout out to my guy Biz Nasty. When Niko was saying he was listening to you guys going into the playoffs, I listened to you and Spit and Chicklets for all of my NHL knowledge moving through those few weeks leading up to the playoffs. And he said it best going into that overtime period. He's like, Ingram's been playing great, but you can tell right now he's bent over in between every whistle. He's like, oh my God,
exhausted.
Somebody stop it, please.
I recorded my live reaction to the OT. It's up on my Twitter, but there's about 15 minutes of unseen footage before that because I started recording with 10 minutes left in the third. You can specifically hear me say, "You are so close." He's dropping pucks. He's tired and he's feeling the pressure. You're going to score eventually. I mean, 50 shots. To only even score on 2 of them is all the credit in the world to him. But eventually you're going to break. I said it all third period. This guy's going to break if you keep doing this.
49 consecutive saves, by the way. After McKinnon scored on the first shot on goal, he went 49 straight until he gave up the game winner in overtime. So it's a great moment.
I mean, if we're being honest, there should have been another goal that went in at the end of that second period. So
it was a bit of a stripe show. It was a ref show for sure.
A little bit, yeah. I mean,
how are you going to push a dude on a goaltender and have that be interference on you? And also, I didn't know about the rule about losing a challenge and losing a guy for a game misconduct. That is one of the worst rules in sports, I think. That is ridiculous. When a ref makes that dumb of a call, look, it was interference, absolutely, but there's nothing that was, I think it was Lehkonen, could have done differently. You get pushed on the netminder and you try to get up, and by the time you get up, the puck's in the back of net. Like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do?
Yeah, I mean, with Lehkonen there on that play, so I understand the call. I just disagree with it. Lehkonen charges into the crease, makes initial contact. You can't argue that. My problem is that if Dante Fabro does not push him down on top of Connor Ingram, Ingram would have had plenty of time to recover and make that save. But there was nothing Lehkonen could do on that play because Fabro cross-checked him down onto the goalie. And I agree, the the 2-minute penalty for delay of game for a failed challenge. Like it's I remember when they didn't used to do this and it just used to be like every goal got challenged. So I understand why it's a rule, but it like there's got to be something else we can do here. Like this just doesn't make any sense.
And the other thing I got on top of that, I get calling the goal off because of interference, but if a guy pushes another dude in the crease because their team is literally on their knees trying to stop the puck from going in the back of the net before the period ends, that's got to be like, I mean, I said obstruction. I said obstruction because I know obstruction is a rugby rule, but I don't know what the maybe game misconduct, or it might be like a something interference. Like you can't just like blatantly push somebody on the netminder because you know there's a good shot that the puck might be in the back of the net. So you know what? Let's save our ass here. It's like the game one when they ran to the back of the net to take the net off the back. They needed a stop to bring their new guys in, and they needed that juice, and it's just blasphemous to me.
It's Bush League. It's no different than when they were knocking the net off, and they're doing it because Connor Ingram actually had no idea where the puck was at that point, and they're all just like, scatter, somebody do something. I don't know. How do you feel about the physicality? Because I'm kind of sick and tired of hearing the national media continue to say that Nashville just has to lean on them. My opinion of the first two games is that Colorado's been the more physical team, and Nashville's going for checks now a little bit more, but they're not smart checks. The Avs are able to lay people out right now. Like, let's all say a prayer that Nazem Kadri didn't get suspended for that hit behind the net, because it's Nazem Kadri, and that could have gone, if it was just a little bit off from where it was, that could have gone pretty badly. But the Avalanche are being the Avalanche are being smart, putting bodies on guys in the right places, and I would say that they're the more physical team in the series so far.
Yeah, definitely for game one at least, I walked away from that game going the Predators are trying to goon that game up because they're getting destroyed, and I feel like we still won just about every single scrum. For this game, it's going to show that the Predators have more hits. I haven't looked at the box score yet, but I'm very certain the Predators have more hits. We had the puck the entire time. And every time it's a loose puck on the boards, it's not like we're getting shoved over and getting knocked over by the physicality of like Tanner Jeannot or Matthias Ekholm. We're giving it right back to them. And they're no shrinking violets when it comes to hits. These guys go at them every single time. They're not afraid of them whatsoever. And so Nashville, I think by stats, is the most physical team in the NHL, most hits, most fights, most scrums, that kind of thing.
Most penalized.
Most penalties as well by a lot, by the way. And if the Avalanche continue to fight back like this and continue to, for lack of a better word, punch the Preds in the mouth, they get through this series, it's only going to get easier in terms of physicality from here.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not jumping ahead. I'm obviously knocking on wood completely. But if you look at like Edmonton's not going to be this physical with you. No. Edmonton's definitely not going to be this physical with you. And you look at the other cities, Calgary's been struggling, and the likes of Minnesota and St. Louis are just kicking the absolute shit out of one another. So they're not going to be the most physical team right now out of the West. May very well be the Avs right now because they can take
also,
the hits.
If I can jump in right here because I just looked at the stats because this is the first time looking at hits. The hits were 57-53 for Nashville. That is not far at all, considering how much the Avs had the puck.
Yeah,
you can say like per capita, the Avs had more hits because they had the puck for 80% of the game.
And I think, like I was saying, those hits that the Avalanche are throwing, those 8 hits that Nashville got were like the guy gave up the puck and you just ran into him and it counts as a hit. You put your body on somebody who wasn't involved in the play and you got a hit tallied. When the Avalanche hit you, it was to get the puck away from you. It was to stop your momentum. It was to show you that we're not going to be pushed around. This is not Smashville versus the lowly little Avs that barely squeaked by Calgary in 2017. And I think they were kind of expecting that from game one. And that's why we saw such a flat performance out of them. And I'll say this, Connor Ingram is never going to play that well again. And the Nashville Predators played the best game that they possibly could have. And you still walk away with a 2-1 overtime win where you put twice as many goals on net and they had no answer for you. So is the answer maybe UC Saros coming back off of a high ankle sprain? If I'm UC Saros right now, seeing that Avalanche offense coming at me, I'm like, no, thank you. It still hurts.
No.
It still hurts really bad.
If you're Preds management, if you're Preds coaching, you got to look at what the Avalanche just did to Connor Ingram and be like, we are not risking the health of our franchise goalie for a series that we would be ecstatic to steal a game from. Like, it's just not worth it, I don't think. And we're talking about a high ankle sprain. Like in the regular season, that's 6 to 8 weeks. This happened. Did it even happen 2 weeks ago at this point? Like, you are risking a lot if you're, because they said first 2 games, Saros is out. I don't believe that. But if they're going to throw him back in this series, I think that's a massive mistake.
We talked about on Tuesday's show and with the NBA as well. It's gamesmanship, because I think Nashville, look, there's no like high ankle sprain in hockey is just like unplayable. There's certain injuries like hockey players can fight through almost 95% of everything, but high ankle sprains a little bit different when you're going at one end to blue line, just wrecking it, trying to just keep up with the likes of McKinnon and McCarr. It's night and day. And Saros trying to go from post to post, man, it is not going to be something fun for him. I will say I would be very surprised the Avs swept the series, because I have seen what Nashville in a playoff home game is like. And Smashville is different. I would expect them to win one game and get a gentleman's sweep, because I do think they do have a talent. I think Ingram could stand on his head one more game. Maybe Darcy has a bad night or something. But like I said, this is very, very tough to see this series going more than 5 at the max.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, it's like you said, Nashville is a tough building to play in. It's something that we have struggled in the past, not just in the playoffs, but in the regular season. And last year, you go back to last year's playoffs, top seeded Carolina up 2-0 on Nashville. They go to Nashville, lose 2 straight OT games, and they go back to Nashville for game 6. They have to mount a comeback and win that game in overtime. It's a tough building to play in. So I agree that a sweep would be fantastic, but they're just so hard to pull off against an NHL team, especially one like Nashville, who I think is technically better than Dallas is. But the Avalanche, they're
bad division.
And they're going to win this series. I mean, it would take a stunner to lose it at this point, considering just how badly we've outplayed the Predators in the first 2 games. But it's going to be a challenge to go into Nashville, and especially after a game like this, they're going to give it their absolute all, because if they lose one at home, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful to see. I mean, I was watching a lot of the first game analysis and the interviews, and everybody said it right. It's not an ego thing. They don't need to win every game in the playoffs 7-2. Like I think maybe the team had the mentality in the past. They're more than happy with a 2-1 overtime win and holding a team to a tie at that point from first period on. So they're not trying to be super flashy and be the Colorado Avalanche that everybody is expecting. They're playing defense. They're taking advantage of the opportunities. It just so happens that all 5 guys, no matter what line they throw out there, except maybe if McDermott is suiting that night, can score. And there's no fall off. We talked about Niko. We said that we didn't know the status of Cogliano right after the game on Tuesday, and it turned out he was out. But then you get Logan O'Connor to step up and play just an absolutely amazing game for a third line forward. And that's what I've been saying about the Tampa Bay Lightning the last 2 seasons. Their third line is what's won them the cup. Their third line has scored the cup clinching goal the last 2 seasons that they won that Stanley Cup. So my question for both of you, and we'll let our special guest go first, Griffin, what in your mind is the biggest change from the last 2 seasons of this Avalanche team, and what is the difference this season?
I think the difference is experience at this point. Is you've been through the heartbreaks of the playoffs before. You know, you come into 2019, you're a young team, there's no expectations for you. You knock off the top seeded Flames in the first round in 5. You go to war with San Jose in the second round. You push that 1-7, and you get a bunch of injuries during that game. You lose McKinnon for a stretch. You get a controversial ending to the game. You lose by 1. You go into next season, obviously strange circumstances with the bubble, but you come in as one of the favorites for the cup. You stomp your first round series against Arizona. You deal with a ton of injuries against Dallas with Grubauer out, and then you lose your backup as well, and you lose Landeskog at a certain point, but you still battle back, force at 7. You just can't get that final goal. You just can't get that final save in game 7, and you lose. And last year is really the first one where it's like, okay, that hurt. Now we've learned what it takes. We were up 2-0 against Vegas. and they slapped the shit out of us for 4 straight games. It doesn't matter that we just won 6 in a row leading into this. You have to be able to give it your all every single time. And I think you started to see that in this game where Connor Ingram, on his head, obviously, they kept going. They kept pushing. They kept getting that puck in the zone. They kept shooting the puck, knowing that eventually one of them is going to go in because we are a great team. And we've scored these dirty, greasy goals throughout the regular season. We know what it's going to take, and they just kept pushing. And so now that's the difference, because I think on paper, you can argue the team's maybe a little worse than it was last year with the subtraction of Brandon Saad and maybe upgraded net with Darcy Kemper over Grubauer. It's marginal either way at best. But this team is a better team than it's ever been, and they know what it takes.
Yeah, I don't think it could have been better said. And you got to go jump off and record your own episode. This will be out also. So listen to Tell It As It Is. That'll be out first. This will come out a little bit later tomorrow on Friday. But Griffin, like we said, when you jumped on, we couldn't thank you enough. It's been a long time. We were talking about trying to get you and Christian both on, but glad you were able to join us for a little bit, and glad we got to talk about a game of that caliber.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks so much for having me on, fellas. And let you in on a little secret. My semester ends in about 2-3 weeks. And
that's a great timing, huh? So we'll see you soon, is what you're saying.
So I'm planning for the second round. I don't know when. I don't know if for game 1 or if it's later in the series. I'm still working on that. But I will be in Colorado for the second round.
Oh, we may have to do a live one then, a live show.
Absolutely.
With you guys.
I will see you guys then. So
absolutely.
Thank you both so much for having me on. And whether it's on Zoom again or in person, I'll see you guys soon.
Thanks, Griffin. Thank you again, Griffin.
At Tell It As It Is on Twitter. Follow wherever you get your podcasts. Listen to him and Christian break down everything Avs. And we will talk to Griffin a little bit later on. Super glad that he was able to join and everything like that. Hopefully you guys have a good show and you don't stay up too late, but
it's too late for that already. So, but I'll see you guys later.
Sleep is for the week.
See ya. All right. So now that we've had that little, by the way, really, it's not just blowing smoke. Yeah, it's not just blowing smoke that Niko and I listen to the Tell It As It Is.
I'm picky on my shows, okay? I am very picky on what I fucking listen to, and these dudes, like I said, I get my hockey content from Spin Chickers. Yeah, like Jimmy said, I got you hooked on that. Aren't you welcome about that shit? But yeah, I get my hockey content from them boys, and then obviously all the Avs content. Whenever there's a big story, like when we had that Lehkonen trade, first show I went and listened to was them, because I knew they had some great insight on it. It's a bunch of great stuff. Like I said, I would love to have that in person in a couple weeks. Maybe in game and in person somewhere. Yeah, I'll figure something out.
Even if it's not at the game, there's the DNVR bar right down the street.
True.
And I don't know anybody that can turn down a beer tower watching hockey. I'll let you answer the question that I posed before we had to let Griffin go record his own show. Biggest difference that you've seen from the last 2 years and this team that we've seen so far in 2 games of the playoffs. So let's keep that in mind as well.
My biggest difference, honestly, if I'm looking at this team, last couple of years, when look, I am a goddamn broken record when I talk about playoffs, because I always think whoever's between the pipes is going to win you the cup. It's plain and simple that you can have fucking Gretzky, Crosby, McKinnon all on the same line. If you ain't got shit between the pipes, it ain't going to win you games. And what Kemper, the exuberance and the energy that he just brings, and the confidence night in, night out. Grubauer, unhealthy, not very healthy, great goalie behind us, because that was the people in front of him. Kemper was a damn good goalie on some terrible Coyotes teams. And you can tell he has all the confidence in the world, because he knows he lets one in. He trusts the guys in front of him to get him one back. And that's the difference between this team, is you have that blue line where I said it last year. I tweeted out last year after the playoffs. Who's the biggest X factor on this team? I play in simple, straight up. It's EJ. It's the leader. It's the guy who has been on your team for a decade through the bad times and not through the good times. It's the guy that mentored Kale, mentored Bo, mentored Sammy G to the type of players they are, and having him on that black line just brings that confidence to the blue line, saying we got a dog back there. We got some fighters in Manson and McDermott that can go out and swing with the best of them. But we know EJ. Yeah, we know EJ is going to step in and be exactly the type of player you're going to be. Look, when your offense gets quiet on a night like tonight, where you're playing a face-off hell of a goalie, it's the guys on the back line that exuberate the confidence, man. And look, like I said, kill fucking Makai. This dude. I kid you not. Is look. Shout out Duchesne. Let's say. I'll keep saying it. Shout out Duchesne, man. Wanting his ass out of here, and us getting that 4th overall pick because out of his dumb ass, man. Because this guy, how he fell to the floor, how he stepped into a playoff game, literally days after being in the Frozen Four, after winning a Hobie Baker. I mean, you could go on and on with this kid. We talked about Bones not knowing better when he played in the NBA playoffs. Cale Makar has never known anything else than being the best fucking skater on the ice. Like he just doesn't know better that, oh, these dudes are bigger than me. Oh, these dudes are stronger than me. Oh, these dudes may be slightly more skilled than me. Hell no. I'm gonna make your life a living hell on the back line. I kid you not. Cale Makar just does things that you're just like, this guy's on our team. This dude right here, this 22-year-old, maybe
23. I looked it up before the game. 23.
My word, man.
Yeah, and he's been. There's nobody that can touch him, and everybody tries and everybody fails. Like he put 3 guys down on their knees tonight, just walking the blue line, and that wasn't even a shot. He passed the puck. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to say other than Cale Makar is my hero.
We are not worthy of all hail Cale Makar. We are not worthy.
Not worthy at all. After the dome piece and then the game winner tonight, I'm just glad I got the jersey that I have right now. I'm glad that his number was the only one left because I'm not going to say that he was my first choice, but
it's the right choice. It always works out.
Turning out pretty well.
Yeah.
Other games that happened tonight, let's talk about them.
There's other hockey games, Jimmy?
I guess, yeah, there was. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Wednesday games as well. Rangers get the win. They even up the series. By the way, all the other series except for, I believe, Carolina did move to 1-1. So nobody else besides the Colorado Avalanche and the Carolina Hurricanes right now have a 2-0 series lead. But the Rangers get one back, 5-2. A little bit of controversy at the end of the game. Jeff Carter ran into Igor Shesterkin. Shesterkin kind of, it was more so on him than anything. And there wasn't even a reaction really to it other than initially. So I don't think we're going to see that really come into effect. But I think that this was a big thing for the Rangers because the Penguins were mounting a comeback again. And in the third period, the Rangers put it out of reach. And that's what you have to do. If you're a team that's going to make sure you don't lose 2 at home, you've got to make sure that in these moments you could turn it on, and that's what they did. Artemi Panarin was great. Shesterkin was great. And, I like this Rangers team. I picked the Rangers to be in the Stanley Cup final with the Avalanche. So
I like this Rangers team a lot. I'm still not sold on Breadman over there. I think Panarin is one of the streakiest players in hockey. I think if he has his mind right, he can be a top 10 forward in the league. When he's not there, he's not there. He's just not there. I mean, he's a guy that's either going to give you a 2-goal or like a 3-assist night, or he's going to give you nothing and 30 minutes of ice time and maybe a -2 or -3 on the board. That's the difference between Breadman over there and some of the other great players in this league. But I like I said, Shesterkin. Just like this, like I said on Tuesday, or Wednesday, the rags to riches to go from King Lundqvist to this guy. I mean, that dude is full on Russian mafia over there. The dude is ready to square up with everybody, and that's what you want under goaltender. You don't want no fluff. You don't want no fluff back there. You want a little dude that has a little bit of an edge. There's a little bit of fucking grit between his teeth, and is gonna spit on your goddamn shoes. Mm-hmm. You're gonna want that if you're gonna want to be a team. Kemper's got a little bit of that. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe that's one thing he's slightly missing, but there's teams good enough. But yeah, Igor has definitely got that. Absolutely.
And I mean, the Penguins, they didn't play as well as they did on Tuesday night. They were just at a different level. They couldn't keep up that. they basically played a perfect game to win that triple overtime one on Tuesday. So I'm honestly.
And was Sanguino in that? I didn't check.
Yeah,
Probably,
he started the game.
Yeah, I would have guessed that.
He started the game tonight. And it
There's
didn't
a reason
go
why
as,
he wasn't a starter.
Didn't
There's
go
a
as
reason
well.
he wasn't started. Yeah.
I actually think that the New York is in a great position going back to Pittsburgh. I think that they're not gonna win both in Pittsburgh, but they're gonna split again and then come back to the Garden and take a 3-2 lead. So
that's 3-game series, and you got 2 of those at home, no doubt. That's what you have to shoot for if you're New York.
Yeah, I don't see, after what I saw from Pittsburgh tonight, I don't see them putting up as much of a fight as we maybe thought.
Pittsburgh's got a good barn, don't get me wrong, but it's not like Pittsburgh. I mean, prime Pittsburgh was insane, but it's been a minute. It's been a little bit of a minute.
Yeah. Panthers at Washington, or Panthers in Washington. The Panthers evened up the series again, this one 5-1. So, yeah, it was. You expected the teams that didn't look good, and Florida did not look good in their game 1 against Washington, to bounce back and play better. And Florida was the President's Trophy winner for a reason. They have talent, and they're somewhat healthy right now. They're still battling small injuries here and there. It's still like the 5-1 win over the Capitals does not do anything for me. I don't think that the Capitals are probably the worst team that made it into the playoffs, maybe behind the Stars, maybe the Stars or maybe the Capitals. Those are the 2 teams. But Washington on the Eastern Conference is nothing. Carolina, or I keep saying Carolina because of the damn Panthers on ESPN. Florida should not have to struggle to beat Washington. That's what
if they do, then that's the biggest eye opener that you need to see from this team. I love me some Ovi. I love me some Nicky Backstrom. I love me some TJ Oshie. But what does this team have on the back end? Absolutely nothing.
Do you know who their goaltender is?
Fuck! I do know his name. It's some fucking Finn, or it's a Russian. I can't think of his name. It's Samsonov. There we go. Samsonov. I do that. Yep, I do that. I knew it was something fucking weird like that. I bet on a lot of Capitals games for some reason this season. Yeah, that's how far I was down.
Samsonov didn't play after the first period.
Yeah, they pulled his ass.
Vanacek played after the first period.
Like I said, the Caps team. I think this game goes 6 games. I don't think it's a 5. I don't think that Carolina wins 2 in a row down there. Or not. Wow, I said Carolina too. Thanks, Jimmy. I don't think Florida wins 2 in a row up there in Washington, not down there in Carolina, up there in Washington. My geography just.
It's almost midnight, so bear with us.
Yeah, we're pushing stones here. But yeah, I would not be surprised if this series goes 6 at all, because I think Ovi and the boys over there still going to win one at home. But I think this Florida team is a little too much.
Yeah, Florida is too much for Washington, but this does not give me any confidence moving into the next round.
No, it gives me less confidence. You look into the second round. I'm trying to think who the force is, because I don't know how the fuck this playoffs go. If this team places Tampa Bay,
it would be Tampa Bay or Toronto.
They face one of those teams like Toronto, and that's a different story. They face Tampa. That's an in-state rivalry that people forget is edgy. It's a goddamn Sunshine State.
It was a slugfest last year.
Yeah, slugfest last year. I don't think Florida wants them. They would. I don't know if they'd love to go to Toronto, because I don't think anyone would love to go to Toronto. But they're not looking. I think this team's a second round exit. I'll even go as far as say if Toronto gets past Tampa, they're getting past this Florida team. I'm all aboard the Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner train. I'll just say that I am full aboard, full bandwagon. I've been looking for Austin Matthews Maple Leafs jersey, because that's how much I love watching this guy play hockey. So yeah, I'm not sold. I'm just not sold on this team.
You set me up for the shots fired, and then you go turn around and say you want a Leafs jersey. Nobody wants to go to Toronto. Shots fired,
It's an Austin Matthews jersey. It's respect. It's different.
Stars and Flames, they evened up at one game apiece. The Stars got empty netter in the third, but they basically held a 1-0 lead the entire rest of the game.
This series scored a total of 3 goals in 2 games.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not pretty. It's not pretty.
It's boring.
Not hockey
it's
you
ugly.
were watching. Yeah.
The Stars were the most boring team in the NHL throughout the regular season as well,
Great
so it's
team to
no
bet on, though.
surprise.
Great team I'll bet on, though. I'll tell you that. They cover like no other.
They do cover. Pavelski's just that. Pavelski, I bet you, was betting on the games himself. And it was like, yeah, I'll cover.
He ain't no Evander Kane in Edmonton over there.
Yeah. But I honestly, the same way I feel about the Panthers and the Capitals, I feel about the Stars and the Flames. Whoever makes this through is just a sacrificial lamb for whoever's coming out of. There's teams on the Western Conference that are going to beat Calgary. There's teams on the Western Conference that are going to be able to beat Dallas and really not even make it that much of a struggle. So these two teams, I'm not even really worried about.
No, not at all. No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I honestly think this may go 7-6-7, man.
Mm-hmm.
I think Calgary is a team that just flounders in the playoffs, and they fall to heights that they shouldn't go against bad teams that they're far better than them. And you get guys like Gaudreau and Kachuk and up front that just fall under pressure, absolutely fall under pressure, and they cannot consistently keep a goaltender in net. I kid you not, if Calgary was able to have one guy they could just put back there for 60-plus games and just be the number one netminder in the playoffs, this team would be a serious cup contender. They're a 2 seed in the West, and I do not take them. I take Edmonton more serious. I take St. Louis and Minnesota more serious. Like that's how low I think of this Calgary team right now.
It's weird. I mean, think about like, hockey is Canada's sport. Calgary is a team that plays in Canada. Calgary has the least amount of historical pedigree of any of the Canadian teams in the NHL. They have one Stanley Cup. And you know when that was won? 1989. They have one championship, and it was won in 1989. And that was a fluky kind of season where they shouldn't have been
Vancouver
there.
Hasn't really been a whole lot either, but
Vancouver was an expansion team. So
a little different, yeah.
I'm not giving them as much flack, but Calgary's been around for a long time, and they've sucked, or at least just been in the middle of the pack for a long time.
Mediocre, absolutely mediocre, middle of the road team forever.
Then moving to Wednesday night's games, Carolina, the actual Carolina Hurricanes, they took a 2-0 series lead over Boston. Boston they're trying to take as many goaltenders. They're trying to take as many goaltenders as they can out.
Because that's the only shot they have.
It really isn't, because the guy that got put in afterwards, Kuchkov.
That's definitely Russian.
Kochetkov. Yeah, I don't have
Kolchev. I don't know. That's absolutely Russian though. But
30 saves and a .938 save percentage in relief. So. Yeah, you got the first 2 goaltenders out that you're going to play, but you still can't score against this team, and you can't stop them from scoring against you.
I think this is a sweep. I'm serious. I don't think Boston can get a game off these guys. I
picked Boston.
I think we both picked Boston. I didn't realize that those fuckers over there only let in 1 goal in 3 games against these guys during the regular season. Like Boston, that team is on the verge of just being broken up. That big line is going to look. They'll keep Marchand because Marchand is Marchand, but Pasta and the likes of Bergeron may be on their way out here in a year or two. Absolutely, if you're them, because look, your back end outside of McAvoy, they ain't got shit for fuck out there. They're throwing out random goalies too. Omar and Swayman, come on now. What happened to the days of prime? Look, Tuukka was one of the biggest choke artists in AHL playoff history, but Tuukka at least was going. You know what you're going to get from Tuukka. And Tim Thomas, man, talking about good goaltenders for a decade. Like now you're throwing Swayman and Omar out there, expecting to be a red hot Carolina team. No shot.
I said it last season when Boston got rid of Zdeno. Like, I get that Zdeno wasn't bringing you anything, and I watched the series against Tampa. It was time to get him off your blue line. But when you make the move and you get rid of a captain that's been a captain for that long, it totally screws up the rest of the flow of the team. And now you got the 2 guys that you said, Marchand and Bergeron, both have rumors about possibly just being retired because Marchand's been playing forever. He's won a couple gold medals. I think he won the Stanley Cup, or maybe he was a little bit after they won it.
He was one of the younger guys on those cup runs.
So he's kind of done whatever he wants. And after this season, this Boston team does not look like anything. Like they were barely a playoff team this year. Next year, they will be like scratching, maybe even competing for a lottery pick, but they'll be scratching to be in some sort of playoff contention by February.
Well, Jimmy, we all know that lottery picks are scripted. Boston will get the number 1 pick in 2 years. Mark my words.
I don't like it.
Always goes. That's how it always goes. They always feed the bigger city some feed the monsters something.
Yeah. No, not a whole lot to say about that. That seems like that series is pretty well in hand.
It's 4-0. That's the one series I'm confident that Carolina wins every game.
How do you feel about this Tampa-Toronto series? Because Toronto got the shutout in game 1.
Tampa looked dead in game 1.
They did.
And they decided, I have legs in game 2. I expect this to be 7. This is the series I'm watching every single game. Even though the Jersey matchup is horrendous, I keep saying that because I'm not dead and I'm a Jersey.
You don't
fanatic.
know who you're betting on.
Yeah, I don't know who the fuck I'm betting on and what the hell I'm looking at for half the time. But the series is entertaining as hell. You have probably the series with the most star power across 2 teams. Like you have the boys, you have Kuch, you have Hedman, you have Vasilevsky from Tampa, you have Stamkos. I mean, I can go on. I know I can go on and on. I'm trying
Ryan McDonough.
Then you have Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, and that's about it for Toronto. But either way, those are still 2 absolute studs. But that's this series, it's who's gonna bend that break, and Tampa Bay is the team with the far better goaltender. A far better goaltender. And like I said, Toronto, I'd be surprised they win the series. I still would be very surprised they do. But I would not put it past Austin Matthews to because the dude is literally on just such a stupid run right now. Him and Marner, free Austin Matthews and free Mitch Marner. That's all I'll say. Free those dudes. Because, man, they are stuck on a franchise that just has the biggest monkey on their back and probably all of the NHL right now.
I have them picked mainly because, like, game 1 proved what I was saying about Tampa. They played so many games in the last 3 seasons that they're kind of just tired. Doesn't mean that they can't turn it on when they need to, and they proved that in game 2. Hedman, like, we talk about a great defenseman. It's a totally different style of game to watch with Hedman, except for when Hedman does try and go offensive. That's the biggest man of all time skating down at you if you're a goaltender. So I would be a little bit worried about that. But him having a 4-point night against Toronto was huge. I will say the Maple Leafs didn't quit. Like the Maple Leafs teams of old would have made this
folded.
They would have made this 5-3 because they scored 3 and then gave up 5 in the first period and didn't score again. This team at least had to battle back in the second, scored 2 in the third. They just ended up giving up 2 of their own in the third. Their goaltending sucks. Their goaltending's been their issue ever since the All-Star break, and they stuck with it, didn't make any moves like everybody told them to, and now they're going to have to either live in the outhouse or the penthouse. Those are the 2 options.
It's a 95% chance it's the outhouse. Like I said, I would be very surprised.
How good is Austin Matthews?
It's more how good is Vasilevsky. If this Toronto team was matched up against any other first round team in the East, I would have maybe given them a good shot. Against Carolina, maybe give them a good shot. Florida, maybe would have given them a good shot. When you're playing a 2-time back-to-back Stanley Cup winner between the pipes and a team that just knows how to win when it comes to the 7-game series, outside of obviously playing Columbus 3 or 4 years ago, but either way, this it's going to be, I think, a lot, not just from the likes of Austin Matthews. It's going to take Kerfoot. Shout out old buddy Kerfoot and the likes of a lot of those secondary players, because at some point Austin Matthews is going to have to be shut down, and you're going to need those other forwards to step up.
Next game that we'll talk about, we'll kind of wrap these 2 up quickly and then get into the NBA playoffs, because there were no games tonight, so we got some games to look forward to in the round 2 series in the NBA. The Kings lose 6-0 against Edmonton. They kind of gave all they had in game 1, and I'll say the same thing about the Blues, because the Wild came back and kind of pumped them 6-2. So 2 return shots in the final 2 games from Wednesday night. What'd you think of those 2 matchups?
First of all, I'll say this: Minnesota, that was the biggest outlier to me, because I think St. Louis, like I said, they have a lot of dudes that have made a cup run. The St. Louis team knows they did their job. They did their job. You come in, win one game, then you go back to home ice. That's what you want to do as a road team, because you want to put home ice back in your favor. Because now you're staring down three of the next I can't count. Hold on. 3 of the next 5 is at home. 3 of the next 5 are at home. So you gotta hope that there's a good shot that you got a chance to win 2 at home, and then steal 1 on the road, and you got this. Like I said, if you're
out of the damn net.
Yeah,
Put Talbot in.
No. Yeah, poor Fleury, man. That dude. Look, Vegas ruined that guy. Vegas really did. He deserves so much better than trading him and him finding out on Twitter. He deserves so much better. Karma's a bitch, though. Ask Mark Stone.
Karma is a bitch. I can't believe the pacing of these games. We talked about it. I think they should spread them out, but honestly, it kind of worked out today because there was no triple overtime game. I could go game 1 intermission. I switch over to the next game that was on, and I didn't do that with the Avalanche, obviously, but I could have. I did that last night when none of the teams that were playing were my team. But no, I think so far the Stanley Cup playoffs have lived up to their billing. It's the most exciting professional playoffs to me. I think that I'm not alone in that regard. I know people love the NBA playoffs, and the NFL playoffs are super exciting because it's one and done. But there is something to say about
it's one of the hardest, of the hardest professional sports championships to win. Football, there's teams that no offense, Jimmy, but there is the outliers like the Bengals that come into Super Bowl.
Say the Rams too. They were.
Say the Rams. Well, I know. I'm not. I'm just going off recency bias.
I got you.
There's no slight at you, but the shit like that happens. Yeah. When it comes to the cup, they're 95% of the time the best team wins. The best team in the last 2 months of the year was going to hoist the cup and have their name written on the cup for the next thousands of years. So
similar to the NBA, honestly.
Yeah, the NBA, it's a little bit different because it's a lot more dependent on who is the best player. NHL not necessarily that.
It's easier to take over a game on the hardwood.
It's easier to be like, oh, I'm dropping 60 tonight and we're gonna win. A little different on the ice, but yeah, no, absolutely.
Unless you're Luka.